starstruck. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to wherever you are in the world. You're here on the Radio Works platform with your host, Sabrina Ben Salmi, on the Dream Big Show. I'm just gasping because it's quite hard to compose myself for this one. This is a very near and dear, but I want to be of service for you today, Cheryl Chapman. Cheryl Chapman is an international speaker, an author of Find Your Why to become freaking awesome, and creator of the Live, Love, Love, Love Lounge, where she is mentor to women wanting to choose a life of freedom after change in their lives. Cheryl spent 25 years in the corporate world developing some of the largest retail across the globe. Her expertise was being able to see where the gap is, and then creating innovative solutions to fill it. And I think that is just an awesome introduction to you, because you are able to see where the gap is in people. And you helped me to see who I am. And it's hard to just sit here and say, oh, how are you? What do you do? And you really see the gap in people. And when I say the gap, I was walking dead when I met you. And when I say that you gave me back my life, I don't say it lightly. I'm now present to be a mother of 5 to my 5 children. And not only that, we are connected to amazing people who are secretly behind the curtains. I know that you are rooting for us, inspiring us, encouraging us, and talking about us behind our back in the most wonderful way, because you want to help us to move forward. And for me, that just invigorates me. And I'm saying, you know what? I love when my friends talk behind my back, because it's nice. So Cheryl Chapman, I'm so sorry for that. I think that there are earth angels on this planet, and you certainly are one in our life. And you do make people freaking awesome. And I feel a lot better now I've got that off my chest. So Cheryl Chapman, please share with the listeners your story, please.
Well, first of all, thanks for ruining my makeup. Let me calm myself down here. I'll have a cup of tea because I'm Yorkshire. Thank you very much.
But you're human.
What can I say? What can I say? Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Thank you for being freaking awesome. You were freaking awesome already, but you're even more freaking awesome now. Yeah. We are thinking, Marion and I, who wrote the book Find Your Why, we're thinking of changing the book title to become even more freaking awesome. But I've got to be honest with you, our designer says, no, there's too many words, but that's kind of the essence of what it is. Because look, we're already awesome. I worked in the corporate business for 25 years, as you said. I made a lot of people rich. I made a lot of retailers happy, and hopefully I made a lot of consumers happy. I sold many items from something beginning with V, which sounds similar to vibrations, but I'm just thinking of that helped people, how should we say, become sexually free, to Tigger lunch bags. I mean, what can we say? Knives and forks I used to sell, so it helped people eat and get their basic nutrition.
With the knife and forks, not the vibrator, right?
Nothing to do with that. It's completely different. A whole different world. And I've sold cushions and accessories and things that make the house look lovely. And it's really interesting because, yes, I could see the gaps, because I'd go into a retailer, and I'd talk to the retailer and I would say to them, what do you want? What's your clients all about? And I'd never heard of branding or avatars or anything like that. But I would used to just connect with them. And I'll give you the listeners a real quick example. And this isn't to brag; it's just to show, what was happening. So I worked for a company who'd had an account manager for like 10 years. She was working with a company in Dubai called Home Centre, and they'd been operating at around about $250,000 year in, year out, and it was really good business. But the company had never let her go to Dubai, so she'd never seen the actual retail outlets. So when she went on, I think she went on maternity leave, or did she? Anyway, there was an opportunity, and I looked after the account. And the first thing I said was, I need to go to Dubai. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, I bet you do. Let's get to Dubai. But I went and I looked at the retailer, and I took them some concepts back. And we went to £1 million, overnight. Wow. Because we looked at what they needed. And I suppose I've always really had that talent, and I didn't really know what it was. And it's only really been in the last 2 years that I realised that it's to do with my my genetic blueprint. So what I was born to do. And the genetic blueprints that we do in the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge and in the Find Your Why program really just look at, you know, when you were born, where you were born, what time it was, where the planets were. It's based on a little bit of woo-woo, as I say, ancient wisdom, Kabbalah, you know, I Ching, Book of Changes, loosely based around the chakras and, of course, the astrology, not to be confused with horoscopes, and also mixed in with, you know, fantastic, like, you know, modern day science such as quantum physics and neutrinos, which are the bits that particles that we can't see. So basically energy. And the one thing that I've learned in the last 2 years is that my particular design, which is the architect, I do have this innate ability to be able to see something and go, that's not quite right. And when I came into the personal development world, I didn't know that, you know, taking a business from $250,000 to $1 million just with one account was going to be something that I'd be able to use, right? It all seemed really new to me. But actually, it's the same principles because, you know, if you listen to people, I know when they're not saying things. I don't know where that comes from, but I just do. So, you know, if I say to someone, hi, how are you? And they go, oh, yeah, I'm great. And I can just hear what they're not saying. And if I may say, that's what I found with you, Sabrina. Because I could see the big smile and I could see the love for your family, but I couldn't see any love for yourself. And that's really what was missing. And it was really, really a bit of you were one of my first proteges. So it's fabulous to be here and, like, you know, seeing you in your freaking awesomeness and eventually stepping into that power, because it's really difficult when you can see something in somebody and they don't believe you, they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe in what other people can see around them. You know, it can be a little bit frustrating. So what I have learned with my design and working on myself, you know, because, like, we're all screwed basically, you know, I mean, we just have to find this way of being just ourselves and just not putting ourselves under pressure and just stepping into that power. But what I found now is that I don't need to force it. In fact, that's the last thing I can do. I can invite and say, you know, I have some ideas, and if you'd like some ideas then on how to be even more freaking awesome, then we can definitely help you, whoever you are, you know, even if you're the most kind of like sorted chick on the block, there's usually one area that you need some help with. And we know that you don't have to figure it out on your own. And ideally, you shouldn't do it alone. Because just the energy of other people, you know, you can be around negative people, can't you? And, like, you feel down. Or you can be around positive people and feel great, right? And even if you're not feeling great inside, you just can't help to go with that kind of energy. It's the vibration. Make sure I say vibration. It's a vibration of where we are, right? So I've learned a lot, and so thank you for that introduction. And it's been a roller coaster.
Hello. Ooh. Hello, Marina.
Yes, I think we lost connection.
Oh, with Cheryl?
Yes, I think so, but she'll come back as soon as she can.
Thank you.
So maybe you tell us, what is your experience of learning from
Absolutely.
From the woman I absolutely adore her. She's back.
Yes. Now she's back. Yay!
Yay! That much of a roller coaster. The energy, the universe cut me off. Hello, Marina.
Hello. So I was just because the universe wanted to test us. I said to Sabrina, what is your experience of learning from the woman I totally adore? And she was just about to share that. So let her share what she experienced working and learning from you.
Right. Where
Don't make me cry.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So I'm gonna be very vague and comb over, you know. So yeah, for me, the experience is directness. Not only directness is that because you don't cut corners. I like that about you. You don't tell people what they want to hear, but you tell them what they need to hear in the way they need to hear it. Cheryl Chapman is someone that I'm constantly speaking about. You know, my children refer to you as auntie, and it's a respect thing, but you are a part of our family. And what's very true and consistent with you is that you're there, be it wherever you are in the world, you know, jet set speaker, Cheryl Chapman has time for you. It'll be on telephone, Skype, Facebook, it's whatever medium. And I think when we have those people that show up in our life that give us themselves consistently, openly, without boundaries, I think it's for us to just call upon ourselves and say, listen, let me just get out of my own way. And I think that's what you did for me. And I think, like you said, even if someone feels like they've got it together, we don't know what we don't know, and we can't see our own blind spots. So I really highly recommend that we give ourselves the opportunity to just say, let's just take a look at me. If we need to close our eyes, but at least be open. I'm not saying that I've agreed with everything Cheryl said, but I know it was right. And often I'll go kicking and screaming, literally, but I know it's right. And I think sometimes we need to learn to connect with ourselves and surround ourselves with people that we like and trust. Not we like and trust because they just keep saying, you're okay, it's brilliant. No, she said, just cut the crap. Yeah, hi, yeah, whatever, cut the crap. And I'm going, okay, tell me what it is. And it's just straight to the point. And when Cheryl says take action, you get results. And this is what I like. I think we need people in our corner to say to us, what you're doing is okay, but it could be better. I was okay, yeah, it's kind of improved, yeah, brilliant. But why don't you think you deserve something completely different? Why don't you go for better? Why don't you reach better? So it would be wrong of me to say that Cheryl Chapman has just been my coach. Like I said, she's part of our family now. But she's also been a coach to all of us. Little Amir, you know, all 5 of my children. Lachey's 17 now, just turned 17. She's a multi-award winner, and 2 of them are for public speaking. And it just keeps get better and better and better. And I look at my children's CV and I go, wow, my children are a result of me surrounding them with amazing people. And I'm not just saying that. We have to be very mindful of who we invite into our home. We have to be very mindful of who we surround our children with. And I can tell you, if I've done one thing right in my children's life, is definitely surround them with amazing people, absolute giants that can see further. So I'm going to allow Cheryl to tell you where and how you can connect with us. Sorry, with us, I've taken over. How you can connect to Cheryl Chapman, because everyone's journey is different, and I don't like that everyone says, oh, you know, come and be a mini me. Cheryl Chapman's platform and Marion's platform, may I add, it's not about being a mini Cheryl or a mini Marion. It's about stepping into who you are, you know, and there's nothing that excites both of them. You could just see the look on their face, their energy flaring up. When each of us start realizing who we are, they go, yeah, goodness sake, it's taken so long to realize. I saw it the moment I met you. So, you know, get in touch with Cheryl. Get in touch with Marion, find out more about the Live Love. I have to, because I'm just in the flow, I have to read it. Live, love, laugh. You know, we're not perfect. And I hope you understand, you've seen my previous interviews. I'm speaking to a woman that has totally transformed my life. When I met Cheryl, I integrated into a family environment. And what I mean by that is that I was very isolated, just me and my children. And we stepped into an environment where we felt supported, inspired, and encouraged. And I really feel that even if you've got people around you, even if you've got friends and family, those dreams that you've wanted to achieve for years, ask yourself, why haven't they manifested now as yet? See, the trouble is sometimes we think that we have to suss it out all on our own. We don't. And by connecting with these beautiful women and Marina's platform, you open up to just a whole different realm of possibilities, because I took it upon myself to listen to Cheryl and listen to Marina. I ended up on a stage. I then ended up winning an award. I then ended up with a radio show. And I was petrified, thinking, what am I going to do with a radio show? And I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll thank all those beautiful people around me for what they did for us by just showcasing their talents. And then from that, we've done our own first event, the Dreaming Big Together. I did not have that on the cards, but I just took one step at a time. And listeners, if you're listening to me, we don't need to have the full picture. Just take that next step. The next thing I heard, I was on a call with Marina and Darry, and they said, you know what, we're going to select the Ben Salmi family to go around the world in 80 days. So this is as a result of being with Cheryl, is as a direct result of Cheryl saying, you know what, come down to this platform, come and do this and come and do that. And it's as a direct result of me saying, you know what, I trust you a lot, enough to allow you to lead me. So forget about just my journey. Get in contact and let you be the judge. Have the experience. Like, I can't eat dinner for you. That would be pathetic. Go and eat your own meal. Cheryl?
Fabulous. Well, first of all, I've got to pull you on a couple of things before I do anything else, which is you had already created your family, your children were already being freaking awesome, as we know. But I just want to point out something for other people who may be listening to the programme, who are like you, Sabrina, who already have awesomeness, but may not really feel that at the moment, for whatever reason, for whatever's going on in their life. You're right, you put your children first. And I'm sure as a mother, and I'm not a mother, so I'm not even pretending, but I do have, obviously nephews and nieces and people that I care for. But I agree, you're bound to want to look after them and make the world a better place for them. But the big thing, I hope you don't mind, Sabrina, is that I said to Sabrina, you need to lead your children by example. Absolutely. And you can't keep pushing them forward. Yeah, they're going to be great, and that's fine. So I just want to point out one thing, Sabrina, and I know you already know this, you'll probably give me a little tit-tattle off stage. The minute that you allowed yourself to step into that space to lead them rather than to push them, look at what's happened. Yeah. And yes, you can give the credit to myself and you can give the credit to Marina, and that's lovely and thank you very much, but actually we're not your children's leader. You are. And look what has happened in such a short space of time to be able to do that. So whoever's listening to your show, whoever needs that kind of like last minute kind of like, oh, well, it's not really me, it's my kids. My kids are just brainy. My kids are brilliant. It's all the people around them. If I may, bollocks. You are the person that they needed to step up, to take them even further on the journey that you'd already kind of pushed them along, right? And now you're all going around the world in 80 days. And yes, of course, that's because of the amazing Marina. But you stepped into that power because Marina couldn't have seen you if you hadn't have done it. So I just want to say, thank you for doing that. And thank you for realising how freaking awesome you are. And the kids are too. But, the old thing is you've got to put your mask on first to look after anybody else if you're on the aeroplane. And I've seen many of those presentations. Yeah. So I know it's true. So thank you. And thank you for just being freaking awesome and being you. If anybody wants to get in touch with us, they can get in touch with us at the findyourwhyfoundation.com or Cheryl-Chapman.com. But, for me, I realised that my why, I came around it quite a long way around, was that if I could inspire one person to change their life, then my work here would be done. And you, my friend, have already ticked that box. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much. Cheryl, look, this is the Dream Big platform. Please share your vision with us. What is the vision for Cheryl Chapman? Where are you headed? And what's the picture that you're going to paint on this blank canvas of your reality?
Okay, well, I want to help people to change their stories. I want to help them to share their stories, and I want them to inspire others. And the way that I want to be able to do that is in twofold, just by really connecting with beautiful souls like yourself and Marina and Marion and all the fabulous men and women, actually, wise men and wise women.
Man cave, yeah, I like that.
Exactly, yeah, so we do have a man cave as well as the Live, Love, Laugh Lounge. But I just want to be able to set up, 100 years' time, I want there to be wise women communities all over the globe, run by local people for local people, and I want them to be able to help them to share their stories, change their stories, and inspire others as well.
Beautiful.
Then my time here will be done.
Your energy still perspires. We go out of full fruitful, but we never end. Yes. Cheryl, for the purpose of the listeners, how can we assist you with that vision? Perhaps who would you like to connect with? Who would you like to go to dinner with? Who would you like to have those conversations with to co-create this vision?
I'm really, well, if I had a one wish, it'd be Will I Am. So if anybody's got Will I Am, I'm ready, baby. Yeah. I believe he was in London last weekend, and I was like, what the heck? Oh, Manchester, actually. And I was in London. Typical, right? And the reason why I say him is because I think that he has a really generous soul, and I think he's looking to the future of the planet. So yeah, I would definitely apart from the fact that he's cute, but that's it's far young. Oh, sorry, I'm married, right? But if I'm just talking about dinner, I can go for dinner.
Smile on your face.
And just generally, anybody who just has come to the stage in their life where they're kind of saying, is this all there is to life, and what am I here for? Because I believe if you started to ask those two questions, then what you've really started to do is you've already started the journey of looking for your why. Because you realize that there's got to be more. You know, like the probability of you being here on this planet as an individual being is like so infinitely against you. I don't even know if that's a word, but I've just made it up. But the odds are so much against you that actually it's zero, really. I mean, I think it's something ridiculous, like, you know, 1 in a million to the power of 695 trillion or something ridiculous. And when you say those figures, they're so huge. It's like, you might as well just say the chances of you being here are like 0. So we're not here just to get up, you know, moan about the day, go to work, you know, be in the dredge of like, oh, is this just existence, and be in that trance. You know, we're here for a reason. I believe that we all chose to come here to make the world a better place, to experience, you know, the ups and downs of life. But, you know, like I'm looking out my window now and my garden is full of like flowers and birds and bees, and, you know, they're just going around their life, like creating and creating and creating. And I'm like, you know, that's good because we're creating here as well, you know, but so many people are just stuck in that rut of going, oh God, same shit, different day. Well, if you're thinking, thank God it's Friday, get another job. You know, like, why would you? Because, you know, my friends just sent me, one of the guys in the man cave sent me a note this morning. I get my tribe to share with me on a day-to-day basis how they're feeling. And he's just lost his uncle. And he just said, like, he's just completely devastated and broke down, and he's been in floods of tears. And I know that's not for his uncle. Just for his uncle, should I say. I know that's for him, because he's feeling like he needs to offer more to the world. And he's absolutely right, because he's freaking awesome. So when he steps into his power, then, so I'm just looking for people ready to just investigate that. They're not necessarily ready to do it, because if they're ready to do it, they don't need my help. But people who are just thinking, I know I've got to be here for some other reason. Then, you know, contact with us and let's find out who you really are.
Yes, so true. What tends to be the common problem that people come to you with, Cheryl? Because you've worked with so many people around the world. What's the kind of, because I guess you can see now, like there's a pattern, so to speak. Am I kind of just assuming, or is that right?
No, there is a pattern. Usually it's, I mean, the biggest one and the biggest breakthrough that we had at a recent retreat was that one of the ladies just said, you know, I'm fed up of doing this on my own. I'm fed up of feeling like I'm all on my own. I'm fed up of like feeling like everybody else has got everything that they need. And we just said, you know, okay, do you want to just raise your hand if anyone else feels like that? And, you know, the room of 15 women all put their hands up. And when she turned around, I honestly thought she was about to drop dead, because she forgot to breathe. You know, it was like, ah! And it was just, I've never experienced shock so close quarters. And like everybody was just like, we all feel the same. So the common denominator is that it's people who just feel like they want to do something, but they just don't know where to start or how to start. And also there's a little bit of lack of self-confidence, lack of self-belief, because they're helping other people. They can do that for their children, for their work colleagues, for their friends. They're usually the go-to person, but who do they go to? And the reason why they feel alone is because they don't want to drop the mask of perfectness or the mask of, you know, being the guru for all their friends and family. So that they need a safe space to be able to do that openly. So yes, there's people who are helping others, but are not helping themselves.
Do you know what I liked with regards to our journey is that you talk to me often about the power of asking. And it's okay. Like if someone says no, it's not about you, it's okay, and then move on. Could you share with the listeners how important that is in our journey to just go, you know what, I'm going to put my hand up, I need help here, I can't do this anymore. Could you perhaps touch on that? I liked that.
Yeah, it is really the power of asking. And the thing with power of asking really is the biggest driver behind not doing it is the fear of rejection. And actually, and I think that, you know, you found this and I found this, is sometimes when you ask, you know, you look at somebody and you think their life is all sorted. You know, and so whether or not you're asking for advice or maybe you're asking for money, you know, I've got a young girl who I was with last week who's looking for donations, you know, to help homeless people get off the streets. And she's I just like, why wouldn't you ask? And she's like, well, I don't know if people will give. I said, no, but you don't know if people will give as well, you know. She's like, oh, but what if they don't give? I said, well, what if they do? Yeah. You know, so it's all this big fear about rejection. But actually, you know, what you find is that people will be very open and say, actually, I don't have that money, but I wish you well. Or, you know, some people will say, I don't even know why you're asking me. That's fine. You pushed a button for them. Yeah. But think about how many people that you ask that do help you, that then help you move to another space, that then helps you to be able to help them or maybe somebody else in a different space. So it's that law of, anyway, it's that law of you, if you, then I. Yeah. And it doesn't have to come back to the same person that gave to you. You might give to somebody else. But again, I think it's fear of rejection. And of course, that's one of the core wounds, because we don't want to be abandoned. You know, if you're abandoned, it goes back to your innate kind of like, you know, tribe-like DNA that's in you, which is if you're abandoned or if you're rejected and you're sent away out of the tribe, then you could die. So that's in our cells. But actually, the question is, will I die if someone says no to me? I think it's highly unlikely. I think it's highly unlikely. I mean, but we have these phrases, don't we? Oh, God, I could have died. Well, could you really? I mean, like, were you stood in the middle of the M25 and was there a big lorry coming towards you? No, you just felt a bit maybe like weird about it. But I think I remember saying to you, Sabrina, how do you think your friends and your family and the people who want to support you would feel if something happened and then you said, oh, well, if only I'd had, you know, 100 quid, or if only I'd had someone to support me? How do you think people would feel if you didn't ask them?
Absolutely.
Yeah, quite frankly, I'd be pretty pissed. I'd be mildly, you know, upset and very annoyed. So you know, I would invite the listeners to go out and ask for help, because otherwise, like, don't you trust me to help you?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
You know, get the focus off you and get the focus onto somebody else that can serve you. And I do it all the time, you know, because now I'm on the journey myself. You know, I don't believe anybody is a fixed article, but I'm fairly new to this you know, this place of awareness and setting intentions and manifesting. And I know that, like, something will trigger me and I'll go, oh, that's interesting. Look at how my reaction to go was to go, ah! And then I'm like, why did I want to do that then? And the first person I'll go to will be Marion. And I'll go, right, I've noticed this. What do you think about that? You know, and she would say, oh, you know, build a bridge and get over yourself. You know, or show me some practical tools. But what I'm able to do now is I'm really able to analyse myself. But listen, I can't do it on my own. So you need people to put the mirror up in front of you. Because I remember one lovely lady said to me, you can never see the ketchup on your own face if you're going to eat a burger. You always need someone to go, excuse me, look at that there. And that's what we all do. So we all need each other, right? So we all need each other. So yeah, the power of asking is fabulous.
And how important do you think it is for individuals to understand about hiring a coach or a mentor? Do you think that's quite an important part of their evolution and development?
Yeah, look, unless you've got like a really supportive family around you who will tell you the truth, and that will in itself will create some issues for you, because ultimately at the end of the day, you know, your family will either, you know, tell you dead straight and then you'll be like, oh, I can't believe they said that to me, or they'll really, really support you, which sometimes isn't what you need with the yes, oh yes, that's lovely, oh yes, that's lovely, oh yes, that's lovely. So I believe that you need somebody, and I know in the UK we're not very keen on the word coach. Coach to me is a big bus up north, by the way. A mentor is like, I think the problem with the word mentor is that mentor sounds a bit like mental. So I think people shy away from it. But look, you do need a support system. And I do believe that needs to be somebody that is outside of your circle, where you can literally bare your soul and have a safe space to explore what you need. Because what you do need is you need me time. Yes. As in you time, right? Yes. And if you're talking to someone who knows you too much, there's a bit of like, you know, a bit of mind reading can go on with them. What do they want me to say? You know, the old adage, you know, does my bum look big in this? Well, actually, no, it's because your bum's big, right? Now, who's going to tell you that? Is that your friend? No, probably not. Is it your family? I doubt it. But if it's somebody who really cares for you, says like, you know, so like, you know, embrace the big booty or go on a diet. You know, use it or lose it. That's the phrase really you want from your coach. And just someone to hold you accountable. Because so many people try to do things on their own. And then, you know, I know this. You know, today, actually, I have to celebrate. I have been 2 years sober today. You know, and I'm going to do a video about that later on. But in essence, you know, I made all the excuses underneath the sun. I mean, because I had my own story, right? So I needed to change the story before I could change my life. So now I need to do the same thing with food. You know, I just have to use the same principle. But what happened was pain became too much with the alcohol. Like there was no benefits anymore. So, you know, you need some support. You need some support. You need some help. So if that's a coach, a mentor, you know, a safe space, a platform, you know, then definitely go out there and find somebody.
That really leads me on to my next question. You mentioned stories. You know, the story that we tell ourselves really shapes our life and our present. Could you expand on that? Because I love the way you teach us to tell our story in a very compelling way. And could you give us an example?
Oh gosh, wow, God, I could give you so many examples. So for example, let's have a see. So the example that I can give, let's have a think. So the example I can give for myself, which is where it kind of starts, is that you know, I believe we'd never had anyone who was in business in our family. My dad did window cleaning for a few weeks and fell off the ladder and broke both legs. So my association around having your own business was not a great one, right? So I didn't know what I didn't know, and you said this earlier on, because you don't, right? So when I joined the space of entrepreneurship, I didn't even know what the word meant. I wasn't looking for entrepreneurship. But I became involved with people who were entrepreneurs. And there was a little bit of like, well, you know, they're younger than me. Some people are older than me. Some are thinner, fatter, you know, uglier, prettier, whatever. And it was kind of like that. Like there's not this one cutter that kind of fits all. So I started to explore it. And I went down the route of thinking, I cannot not work for somebody else, because if I keep working for somebody else, that's going to put the food on the table. And then overnight, that changed, because I don't believe there is a job for life anymore. And I don't believe that some people are that bothered about the people that work for them. So, you know, I tried to keep both a foot in one camp and a foot in the other camp. And of course, that was really painful. So I had to change that story. I had to change the story, which was, you know, you can do anything you want. And you know what? Even if it takes you down a road, because that took me down the road of like nearly becoming bankrupt. But actually, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it freed me from the story that I had to continue to work for somebody else to pay the bills, because actually that's not true. So you have to change the story. You know, I'm working with people on stories all the time. You know, young Vivian, I worked with her on her story. She believes that she had to be a doctor because her parents, you know, her father was a doctor, and that's what her mother wanted. But actually, she wanted to draw manga comic books. So she had to change that story, right? You had to change the story about you, because you believed that your children could be fabulous, but you couldn't.
I was willing.
Helen.
Yeah, I changed. I was willing to die for them, but then I had to choose to be willing to live for them and for me. So you're quite right. The story had to change.
Yeah. And there's just so many stories. I mean, every single day you hear people, and you can hear someone's story because it's their excuse. If they're stuck, it's their excuse.
And that's me how. I think sometimes it's like they're unaware of that until someone points it out, in a sense. So they've been so used to running that same disc over and over again.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. I mean, and the stories that you tell yourself are usually not even your stories. They're stories that have been passed down. You know, for generation to generation. So it's not like you're blaming anybody for it. It's a bit like, you know, Father Christmas. You know, Christian children are told that Father Christmas exists. I mean, it's all done with the best intent, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, but actually, when you think about the reality of life, like why? I mean, it's a crazy world, isn't it? Why would you even want your children to be inviting a strange old guy into their bedroom to deliver them presents? It's all wrong, really, isn't it? All wrong on so many levels. Yes. But it is just something that's tradition and past. Well, the world's changing, so the traditions. I'm not knocking all traditions, by the way. I'm just saying, you know, as an example, you know, that's just one tradition that is like, how does it really serve us? That really, but we just accept it because it's always been there. And so in our lives, if you know, the story that you tell yourself is I'm not good enough, well, guess what? You're going to be, you know, you're going to fulfill that prophecy, aren't you? Really.
Absolutely. And it's nice because you focus on the story with regards in a coaching environment, but you also teach telling a story from a stage. And I think it's so powerful because at the Radio Works platform, I found it miraculous how you got up and you managed to retell someone's story, but in a really impactful way that gets people associated, because sometimes people speak their story and people go, oh, I kind of feel bad for you, but they don't have that connection. Is it possible to kind of explain it? Because you explain it a lot better than I do.
Yeah. It's just an expansion of what you've said, Sabrina, there is actually right. So what happens is when you tell a story, as in you retell a story, i.e. you narrate it, then people can feel sorry for you. So, for example, I worked with a guy called Phil Britton who was in the Bali bombings, and he had like 80% burns. So you can imagine if I just tell this story now, which is, and then what happened was I was in a nightclub, and then there was a big blast in the corner, and like I could smell like, like a weird smell, and I tried to get out, and I tried to get up this wall, and I couldn't get up this wall, and then eventually I got out, and this is a picture of me with half my skin missing, and like that's a powerful story, right? Compared to when I helped him to relive that story. Now that sounds awful because I'm taking somebody back to a place and a space where they don't necessarily want to be. But it's kind of like, you find me in a nightclub. Oh my God. Look at Cody on the dance floor doing his thing to AC/DC. Oh my God. I'm gonna have to go to the loo. I'll be back in a minute. Get me a beer. Bang! Oh my God, what on earth is that? I can smell. What's that smell? Oh my gosh, it smells like burning flesh. I can't see. Oh my God, I've got like that pain, and he goes and he relives it. Then that, just by switching just for a few moments in your story to relive that.
Yeah, it feels uncomfortable, totally different. Very, like for me, I'm there, it's happening in my head.
Yeah. And I do a little bit more scene setting, so you have that in your mind. But just to like think about, the difference between a story being narrated and someone going, oh, that's awful, and then being able to relate it to your audience. So, for example, he said, I had this pain and I'd never experienced it before. I don't know if you've ever experienced like burning yourself, either sunburning or burning yourself with, some hot water. Well, if you multiply that by 100 times, that's what my skin felt like. You see, now you're in the story, right? Because now you can feel that pain. And the thing is, we've used stories forever.
Yes.
Forever and ever, to warn people about where the saber-toothed tiger was. I don't know, maybe to say where the local ladies were or the local guys were. I don't know. But we've used stories in a way because they emotionally connect us.
Yes.
And the only time you're ever going to be able to change somebody's life is if you can move them emotionally.
Yes, absolutely.
Because if they're disassociated, like if they feel like it's your shit and not theirs, then they don't care anymore because we're busy, right? So you've got to be able to break the pattern of people being busy, and you've got to be able to just get them in that moment in your story for them to not go, oh, I feel really sorry for you, but they go, oh my gosh, do you know what? This is what's happening to me as well. This is what's happening to me. So, I distracted with alcohol. People distract with loads of other things. And that's a big sign that you're not happy.
Yes. Absolutely.
You're not happy. So it just needs to get...
So for the purpose of listeners, if you're at home and you're not sure what to do, I think pick up a mirror. And if you don't want to pick up a mirror, allow someone else to be in your space to be the mirror for you. Cheryl Chapman, I'm respectful of your time because I know you've got to go. Thank you so much. It's an absolute honour to have you in our journey. I want to hold on to you. I want to give you a big hug. Just thank you for sharing what you've got. And there's so many other tools in Cheryl Chapman's toolbox, and Marion, her business partner. When would now be a good time for you to start focusing on your journey? I took it upon myself to do so, and I'm so happy that I did. I took a little longer, and I really wouldn't want you to wait as long as I did. So if not you, then who? And if not now, then when? Tomorrow's not guaranteed. You've heard Cheryl share that people are losing loved ones. And why should your dream wait any longer? There are people here creating platforms that you can tap into, reach out, connect, and see the magic that you can create. Cheryl Chapman, thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you, Marina. Thank you to Radio Works team. I am really taken aback by how things are unfolding, and I'm really excited about what the future holds because of the amazing people around me that keep pushing me to be the best I could be. Please take a leaf from my book. It is never too late. You've never made too many mistakes. I call it market research. All of that stuff I'm going to put into practice. As a result of what I went through, there's some stuff I don't talk to. I went through some serious cases of bullying through someone who I loved more than myself for years. And I'm slowly starting to deal with that by sharing it. When healing takes place, we're open, we invite people in. So domestic violence is a big thing, and it affects homes. And we're going around the world for 80 days, and our big mission is to unite families, so families are no longer in isolation, so things don't happen under the carpet and swept away. I had to learn to believe in myself and first and foremost love myself. I was told very often and frequently, you're ugly, you're not good enough, you don't have enough. And to be honest, it started to penetrate, and that's why I gave up on me and said, you know what, if I can't do it, let me just let my kids go forth. And these amazing platforms help me to believe in myself. So if I can bounce back, sometimes we fall from very high in order for us to bounce back very high. I am so grateful for that market research, because I can now go and help these men. There's some men in this world are broken, not in a way of me judging them, but they're broken. They haven't had people around them to say, you know what, you can fix this. And, you know, the person I loved a lot, he was my husband. And I'm always going to love him. I'm just not in love with him anymore. And I'm ready to take that leap that I need to. It's the hardest thing ever, because family is the most important thing to me. So for me to have to walk away from my family, it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But I have to realize that I deserve better, and I deserve to be treated with respect and dignity and healing. But at the same time, as a result of that market research, I now realize that there are issues that men don't discuss. I've seen it in front of me. So instead of addressing their own issues, they project. And some of you might be listening and realizing we've been projecting on others, and it's not fair. You don't have the right to project. You can be upset. We can discuss that, and you can, you know, shout and throw your rattle out, but, you know, don't take it out on others, especially those who love and care about you and would really like to build that empire with you. Because one thing happens, God takes over, and you start to grow and blossom. But Cheryl, thank you for believing in me and giving us this new lease of freedom. I know you're saying you're not part of it, but it was what I needed at the right time before I disappeared, and I was pregnant with my fifth baby. So I really have to hold on to the fact that you saw something in me that I couldn't see, so you helped flip that switch. Yes, I did it, but if you didn't keep saying that to me, we used to run in and out of our house so we can get, I need to get, we've got what we need to get, and we're activating, we're expanding. So thank you. And just really thank you. Have a beautiful day. Sorry about running over time, and have an absolutely beautiful day. Thank you so much. And I hope I can be of service to you as much as you've been to us.
I'm sure you can. People come into our lives sometimes so we can help them, and others so they can help us. So you've helped me and I've helped you, and that feels like a pretty good world.
Yes, I like that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Love to the children.